Welcome to Beyond Gadgets with me, Sara-Jane Charles. And in this week's show, I have a fantastic interview lined up for you.
I'm Blaine Baggett. I'm Director of Communications and Education at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is part of NASA.
I had the opportunity to interview Blaine Baggett from NASA and ask about the latest developments towards Mars.
The first thing I would say is that there's this amazing continuous presence that we've had on Mars for close to 25 years, I guess. We've had orbiters, and now we have landers, rovers there. And the Curiosity 4 years ago when it landed was just a huge event, both in terms of the public reaction and the science. And what happened with the science was we almost literally found what we were looking for, which was signs of water in the past. We found round pebbles and rocks, which you only get when water flows across it. So there's once a time that water flowed on Mars, that it was warmer, it was wetter. And since that time, our orbiters have also discovered in some of the hills sides these dark spots that are where you basically water has kind of gotten to the surface and seeped down. So a lot of what we're doing is following the water, meaning we're searching for water, because anywhere we find water here on Earth in an energy source and stuff like carbon, we find life. So if you follow the water first, you're going to find the possibility of life. So the very next thing we're doing is a rover that's sort of the twin of Curiosity. It will land that same spectacular way, but it'll have a different suite of science instruments on it. And the next step is to look for signs of either past microbial life, not little green men, but past microbial life or present microbial life. So that's what's happening at Mars. At the same time, we're looking also for life at Europa. And that's a place, a moon of Jupiter, that we're going to be going soon on a mission there.
So I asked Blaine how long before people will be based on Mars.
Yeah, that's a good question, and JPL's part of that pathway of getting there, because we actually have the expertise of landing fairly large sort of payloads there now. You know, the Curiosity rover is basically the size of a small SUV, and so we're looking at right now at new technologies to land even larger things on Mars. And what we'll be doing is helping to build that kind of infrastructure. You know, we might drop on Mars rovers that the astronauts will be able to use robotically to do chores that they then don't have to do. They're going to have to dig for water. You know, we believe from our orbiters particularly that there's a subsurface amount of water that is critical to the astronauts being able to live off the land. They've got to be able to have water, obviously, to drink, but they're going to need water for fuel. They're going to need water to make their oxygen. So that's really the key is water. Every time you turn around, it's water. What's interesting, I just saw an article today by an American aerospace company talking about one of their plans of what we could do, and it's very much what we did with the Apollo program of going to the moon. When we first started the process of going to the moon, we went into Earth orbit, figured out how to do things. Then they flew around the moon and came back. They didn't land. So some of the thinking is that the first astronauts to go out will fly to Mars, circle, and come back. Now, it takes a minimum of 6 months to get to Mars. That's the minimum, and you have to wait every 2 years for the planet, the Earth and Mars to align, where you can even go to Mars in 6 months. And if you were to land on Mars, you'd have to wait 2 more years before you could blast off and come back. So that's 3 years that you're going to be in space. Now, I don't think we've ever had an astronaut, I know for a fact we've never had an astronaut in space for 3 years. It's a long time. You know, that's one of the reasons astronauts and cosmonauts are on the space station, the International Space Station, is we're learning how to live on this new environment. If you're into space gadgets, if you go to our website, www.jbl.nasa.gov, you can find some videos that are called Crazy Engineering, and you'll love it. You'll love it. I mean, it will really tell you a lot about some of the cool gadgets that we're building for future missions. So, Crazy Engineering, check that out.
And I also want to say a big thank you for the phenomenal audience figures across all platforms for my Twitter and Facebook pages, my blog and podcasts. It's been amazing and truly appreciated. Thank you. And stay tuned.